Alright, hello and welcome to the third video in this tutorial. Today I'll be talking about components, explaining how components work and why we use components in React. Majorly when you hear React or you have any other framework for that matter, components is what we mention most of the time that helps us because it helps us break our task into different files, separating the debuggings and makes everything organized. Something like that. You understand as we go on. So I've created a folder here called React Tutorial using the same approach as we used in the last video. And I've cleared out the unnecessary things we don't need. In fact, even the styles, I meant to clear the styles, but I left it there just in case we need it. But I'm not working on the styles today. It's just I'll only be talking about the components. So the first component that comes with the file is the app. The app is the parent component for every other thing, every other component you have to create. When we say component, we're just referring to a file, basically a JSX file. In this case, main.jsx files will not literally be called a component because all it does is taking the app which is being injected into our root using the document get element by ID. And in our index.html, this is where it is coming into. Rather than having all our code within this, it's injecting it into these, and all it's injecting is our app. That's why we say the app is the parent component because every other component must come within this to be rendered on the page. Right? So anything I put within this return will surely be rendered on the page. Let me get rid of this bracket there and let's just use a div. So if within this div I have a paragraph that says a there, coming to run it, we have a there. So basically that's how it runs and that's how it works. Alright. These are app components now. We can create many other components and render them within this component because that's basically what is there for. And what we do basically is we come within the source, we create a folder and we say components. We say that just to differentiate what we are creating from what we already have. So within our components, we can create like an header, you can create a footer. So I can just create a new folder and say I'm creating the header here. Say the header, and I can also create another folder for the footer, so and so on and so forth. So within each of the folder, then I can now create the files. Literally, I can create the files directly from the components, but if you'll be using CSS, it's advised you separate them in folders so you can have your JSX file and your CSS file in the same folder. You understand what I mean in case you don't understand right now. So in the header, I can create a new file saying header.jsx. And right within this, I can create my styles and say header.css. That's what I mean. So the styles for the header, it's limited and constricted to just inside this folder, just this folder. So the styles you'll be applying here is basically for this header.jsx. So before you go for that, it's advised to install ES7 in case you haven't. ES7 plus snippet, so it helps you easily create a component. So for instance, in this header, all I have to type in is RAFCE, and I have an already made component for myself here. So yeah, basically I'll just remove what I don't want and reformat it just like this. So it's just like having HTML and JavaScript together. So for instance, within this, if you notice this is a function, a function header, and it takes a parameter and it returns this. So within these, I can have a JavaScript expression, but right here is where we return our JSX. So within this, I can have say a variable const. Or should I just assign a name and give the name? Let's say I'm finding it difficult using a name here. Let's say Jeremiah. So we're creating name, a constant name called Jeremiah. If I'm to render it within this, I can just say hello, and in colibris, I can just put the name, the name that we've declared there. So all it's going to do is say hello, and it's going to look for the value of this variable. Let's go to assign this. So whenever we actually put a JavaScript expression, function, object, whatever it is within this return, it has to be wrapped in curly brace. So if I should check what we have now, we see we have a there, and okay. Now we have the header, and I told you everything must be within the app. So meaning this header is out of it, and what is actually being rendered out is going to be within the main, and it's only the app that is being recognized for that. If it's the header here, say if this is the header, then right now we're not having anything because we've not imported it. So if I should import the header, and I should come here if I have hello Jeremiah, but never ever change it. Always make sure you have your app here, and any other component should be rendered within the app. So this is the place I will have to import my header. Okay, so I have to import my header. So from this part, so automatically pick the part for me, but you can also easily identify where it is. So just on the same file path, we have the dot forward slash component. So it goes in within component and gets into header, and it picks this header.jsx. Now the header.jsx does not necessarily need the .jsx extension, just say slash header. That's all. So for me to render it, all I have to do is come within these and say header, render it as a component, just like the app is being rendered here. That's the same way I will render the header within this. So I should come back here. I have a there and hello Jeremiah. A there, which is this paragraph, and this header coming from here, hello Jeremiah. So a there and hello Jeremiah. So basically, these are we put our functions together and create something cool, something great. So I can create a separate footer component, I can create a separate main component, article component, or I can create a button component. I can create bunch of things just to separate certain instances from each other, and so I can easily debug whenever there's an issue. Say something isn't coming up, I know where the issue is, I know where the component, I know the component to address, and everything works out fine. So that's why we use components most of the time. We use components just like a lifesaver when it comes to using React and other libraries like that, frameworks, JavaScript frameworks. All right. So we've created an header component. You can go ahead and practice creating a footer component. All you just need to do is create a footer JSX file. If you notice you've not said anything about the styling yet, because we're going to talk about that later. But the main thing right now is you understanding how to run JavaScript within just JSX file. Now we have a variable here. We can have a function, we can have anything, not only a variable. For instance, I can declare a function that says Andrew greeting, and basically it's going to return what is this? Basically it's going to return, let's say it's returning a paragraph. Let's say it's returning a paragraph that says hello. And now it's going to take in the name parameter, and it's going to say hello, whatever the name is. So how do I do that? All I just need to do is use the same approach as I said earlier on. Just use the curly brace and put in name within it. That's all. So say hello name. Now because we have hello name here, I can just comment this out so you don't mistake it for this one. So now just to call this within this, I can just come directly within this and say undo greeting. But I told you before you can actually render anything JavaScript within this return, you have to put in the curly brace first. Then I can now call undo greeting and pass in a name, say Let's say, no, let me not use Jeremiah again. Let me say David. So, just like this, I should have hello David. So let's check it out. You see, we have hello David, just like that. So this way you can render functions, variables, lists, objects. You can just render them easily using this curly brace directly within the. So you've learned about components, you've learned how to create components, you've learned how to import it within the order, and you've learned that AppJS is the more than the parent of every other component. You've learned how it was actually imputed using the element that's ID root, which is directly within our index, that's HTML file. So understanding components is the basic. Once you understand components, then there's nothing you can't create. And we'll be exploiting more of that as we go on in the video. Have fun and please keep practicing. As I said, create a footer.jsx file and practice and create something from it and see if it works out fine. If there's any error, you can just post it in the comment section below and it will be addressed. Happy learning and have fun.